1st of March, and we're back at it again with the Rise of Queendom. I have some pretty cool news for everybody, and just want to make sure that you know that I'm finally figuring some things out. Woohoo! So, today's quick shout out of today's quick shout out of the day goes to Pyro. Pyro, you know who you are, and I just want to say thank you for being so ecstatic and being yourself, and in general just being awesome and cute and so amazing. For as for new things that are coming, that have come up, we actually now have the Discord set up. And come on. Okay, so there's a link in chat. There will also end up being a link in the video description on YouTube. If you join the chat, there's some really cool stuff. I've gotten, hopefully it's all set up correctly. If not, just let me know. I'm still learning how to do this, but I'm starting to add some of the free guides that I've created, like this fun free guide, which is the costume list. I did it as a PDF so anyone can save it and print it off, but it's a complete list of each and every costume in the game. You can see where there's a matching costume for your heirs, like the ethereal quality. There is a costume that each of the heirs can wear. I also marked it adult male, adult female, so if you have two accounts and one is male and one is female, you can check everything off individually. And I'm just so ecstatic that I can share this with you. And the other guide that I'm working on right now is, it includes the costume names, but as you can see, I have a guide that I'm currently working on. It has every single costume piece listed, along with its lowest score and its highest score. Cool thing about this is I have it separated into hair, ornament, makeup, robe, and then I also have the female stuff separated from the male stuff. I'm still working on the male part, but that's going to be available to any Patreons. And I am working on getting the Patreon set up, and that just gives you it's going to give you a lot more in-depth things that you can use in the game, because let's all face it, sometimes when you're playing the game, you need some serious extra help. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of created the Discord, is so that if you have questions, you know how to get hold of me. You can ask me questions. If you ask me something that is something that everybody would want to learn, or something I feel like everybody would want to learn, I'll end up working with you on some of that stuff so that I can create a guide for everybody else. And, well, as the first person, you get to get the quickest, fastest, soonest help. But that part is for anybody who is on the Discord. And that's just because I really, really, really want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get an edge in the game. And I've really been trying hard to figure out how to get the free stuff that I want to put out, which is why we're doing the Discord for the most part. But yeah, you can see the things that I'm working on. I really want to help everybody else in the game. It's not just oh, gung-ho. And because I put so much time and effort into it, that's kind of the only reason why I'm making part of it Patreon based, is so that the stuff that I've worked hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on can help feed back into the game so that I can afford to get some better equipment so that I can create better guides for you. And I really do want to know if you're having issues with the video quality on your end, if the sound quality is acting up, let me know so that I know what I need to upgrade first, because you guys are my first and foremost concern. I want to make sure that you're getting the quality that you deserve and just enjoy gaming. Alright, so enough about my rambling. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Today, because Elizabeth is high enough level, I can take her out for the day. I want to show you how you can take your heirs out. So when you take your heir out for the day, you're going to get this little outing bar up as high as you possibly can, and it will pop up outing. So you see how the outing popped up. We're going to click on that, and that means we can take Liz with us. And y'all are probably going to... If you know the game, the show, the manga, the anime, you're going to be pretty surprised. So we have Elizabeth, whose nickname is Liz, and we have Escanor, whose nickname is Lionson. So if you can guess the anime that this is from, and this is a first come, first serve, the first 3 correct answers for what anime am I naming my kids after, the first 3 will get 100 flowers from me. And these flowers can be anything from just your regular roses, or it could be the lantern blessing, or it's just going to be 100 flowers flat out to the first 3 correct answers. So, hope you're all ready to get some flowers. So, you can contact me in-game through direct message with the answer. You can comment the answer on Facebook. Wait, no, not Facebook. On YouTube or Twitch. So, get the answer right. First 3 people get 100 flowers from me. So I hope you all really, really enjoy that. So, woohoo! I think it's kind of a contest. It's fun. It's for in-game. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you today, and yes, we're taking Liz with us everywhere today. At least everywhere we can until she decides she's tired and goes home. So, the things that you want to look at when you're joining a faction are pretty important. First of all, when you join a faction, make sure that the people who are in your faction are people you enjoy talking with. Because if you don't enjoy talking with your faction, why are you there anyways? Other than all the other cool stuff. Now, I know that with factions, it doesn't give you a lot of might, but it does give you a lot of stuff in other places, and that's what we're going to go through today. So, typically, one of your dailies is to go to your faction manager and go through all of your faction quests. So, the good thing about these faction quests is that you get a decent amount of XP from it. And I am so serious. You actually get experience points from your faction. And the good thing about being in a faction is you have people who have your back. You have people who you feel like who, as you get to know them, you learn that you have a safe place and people that you can talk to. I love talking with my factions because they always end up being some of the best people for me to talk to, period, because they're other adults like me, like you, or if you're not an adult, they're other teens, but they're people who have been through life much the same way that we have. And because you get that family type feeling, it's it's like you always have somebody who you can go run and talk with. And yes, sometimes you won't get along with your faction. You'll end up changing factions, and that's okay. But that's also another one of those reasons why I said find a faction with people that you enjoy talking with. Because if you don't enjoy talking with these people, you don't enjoy being around them, you're not going to have as much fun in the game. And one of there's so many benefits to being in a faction, even though it doesn't really increase your personal rating, it still has so many benefits. And hopefully we're done with no, we have one more to do. Okay, we're all done with the faction goals. So let's go through some of the other things in faction. When you're in a faction, there's so much to do. So you have your faction quests. If you go in, talk to the faction envoy, you have your faction battles that you can do. And this is one of those things where I become more involved is your faction battle. Always do your best to get as many faction battles in. Get your score as high as possible, because when your faction actually wins faction battle, you actually can get titles. Let me see. Rewards. So you get your personal tier rewards. And I think I got up to elite. So that's the stuff that you get for being part of the faction battle. There's also the battle rewards. Depending on what you do, if you can get pretty high. So the battle rewards, you get these titles and aliases that you can use. And the good thing about these aliases is you get those attributes, and those are good for 14 days. The wonderful thing about that is it does add that huge impact, which is just like the best thing in the world. Anytime faction battle starts back over again, I am always trying to be up there with the best of the best in my faction so that we can get these aliases, so that we can have other things that help us stand out. And then, as you see, you can also get some really nice rewards. These unique boxes are worth getting because this equipment is so important when you are setting up your team, because there is special equipment for each character. And as you get the special equipment, you end up getting these extra boosts that are really, really nice to get. And overall, it will help you kick some serious tushy. You also have the faction funds, which is used to improve your faction, which is just one of those things you're constantly going after. Also get these awesome damage plus gems. The damage plus gems, the damage negative, and the agility gems. Let's see. Agility gems are actually really hard to get because they're an extremely rare gem. So is your damage plus and your damage negative. But that damage plus and that damage negative used on the right members of your team will actually give you a serious edge when you are battling other players. Let me see if anyone's come in. No, I don't see anybody right now. Okay, so Liz is funny. So the other thing that you can look at is loot. Depending on what your faction contribution is, you can obtain this loot. Now, this is part of why you are constantly donating to the faction, is so that you can improve the loot that you can get, because everybody has to donate. Otherwise, it just doesn't work as well. And this is another one of those things where when you apply, let's see if it will. Okay. So when you apply, it gives you a chance. You have to look at what your battle contribution is. Your contribution is definitely going to affect it. Now, these orange crystals are used for upgrading your treasures, those other things that we were talking about that come in these unique boxes. And the unique boxes, having those unique treasures, are so important when it comes to upgrading. And let's see. I don't really want to grab that right now. But as you can see, there was a timer. So many people can apply for that same item, and then the game will decide who gets it. Here is the faction trial. One of the things with the faction trials is you see how it's Ling Ro? So she is actually one of those dignitaries that you can visit. You need to unlock her first, which means to unlock her, your scheme needs to reach 800. And when you have a good relationship with her, not only do you get these appeal bonuses and attributes, you also can get an edge when they show up in your faction trial. And you just go in, you kind of just fight them like you normally would. And in my case, it's more about making sure that I make it into the faction trial when I can. And one of the things you're going to notice is your damage is going to be constantly recorded. And that's one of those things that will help you get better rewards. And you can only really get rewards as you're going. So the higher the faction trial boss, the better the rewards are that you get. And I think it's important to know that you're being as active as possible within your faction, because they're not going to really hurt you at all or do any damage to you. Your faction is kind of that port in the storm when you're in the game and there's all sorts of drama going on. And I also love the way the kids act when it comes to the faction area. She wants to be the little money master, because we're coming over here to donate. So, things to note when you're donating. If you have not bought any ingot at all, you haven't bought anything in the game, you see how I can't actually donate gold right now. I haven't had the chance to put any money into the game, so I can't donate any gold. This is one of the reasons why it's kind of important to get at least VIP 3 when you're playing the game, because you want to be able to donate that ingot. You also really want to be able to get this growth fund. You get to VIP 3, you buy the growth fund, you get an unbelievable amount of ingot back. So, wait, not what I wanted. Okay. So, also, make sure you sign in every day, because the more you sign in, the more ingots you can get. Now, granted, if all 50 players in your faction sign up, you get to have a go at each and every single one of these bags. So, always remember to sign in. You don't have to have your activeness up very much to sign into faction. You don't need any activeness to donate and do the trial. You do have to have your activeness up for the day, which is why typically I'll have faction as the last thing that I do for the day on my dailies. Also, another thing you want to do is go in and do tribute every single day. Because from tribute, you get ores that you're going to use during a special tribute event during the week. It happens every single week. Also, make sure you go and do your faction quests beforehand, because that's how you get all of these goods. So, if you hit help, it will let other faction members know that you need help obtaining the item. And when you get the item that you request, it's going to show up in your faction chat. And when somebody donates, the faction, not the faction leader, but the faction bot will tell you who donated the item. And if more than one person donates the item, you'll see all sorts of done, sent in chat, and only the first person who donates it actually gets additional tribute points. But at the same time, it's still fun to make sure that you're asking for help. Now, say you're looking at the common goods and you don't have something, you can refresh it. Yes, it costs 10 ingot to refresh, but sometimes it's better than saying, oh, I don't have any. So we're going to just go ahead and load them. And then you can see I got my ores, I got merits, some XP, and let's see. So you can see each chest is going to have its own amount of faction contribution, which you can use for the items that we were looking over in loot. You'll also see that you get Dragon Jade. And Dragon Jade is important for this next thing we're about to go over for. Okay, so once I do that, I always come over here to the Affair Manager. So there's two sections here. Faction PvP. Your faction leader will sign up to do this. And what you're looking at is with the faction PvP, you're going to be going against other factions to get control of these certain buildings. And you can see that it has its own bonus effect. So always pay attention to whether or not your faction is signed up to do the faction PvP, because you actually have to be on the game and able to, in order to help during faction PvP. Next, we're going to go to the celebrities. So, this is how you know. And if you click interact, you have please. Now, you can please using the Dragon Jade that you've gotten from doing your tribute and your faction quests, or you can use ingot after you hit VIP 5. So, I typically always go to the target that the faction leader has set up, max that out, and just hit please. Now, you can look at the appeal ranking. So, it is good to have appeal with other faction celebrities. However, there are certain things you need to pay attention to. If you look at Consort Gao, you see how the interact says please and persuade. If you hit persuade and you persuade, you can actually start fights between factions. So unless your faction leader says, we're at war with such and such faction, go and persuade as much as you can this one celebrity. Never hit persuade. Only persuade if you are specifically told to persuade. Because, well, it's just really rude, and you really do not want to make